All right, we'll go ahead and get started now. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Vanessa Douthard. I will be your host for this Using the Latest Matrix Products Updates for Better Training Outcomes. This is our second product update webinar for Matrix, and we're so excited to be here. For those of you who are returning and for those of you who are new, as I just mentioned, my name is Vanessa Douthard. I'm an EdTech specialist for the North American region. My background consists of learning technologies and design, as well as instructional design, user experience, and technology integration. Today, I'm going to take you through some of the updates for the past quarter on Matrix. Some of those are going to include organization features, as well as updates to courses, groups, and also some new third-party apps. It's going to be a lot of information, but a lot of really good and exciting information. We're definitely going to be collecting questions. We will have a Q&A towards the end of the webinar. Please, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to type those into the chat, the Q&A. We have panelists on the call who will be ready to answer your questions as well. But if any of those go unanswered, I will definitely be sure to get to them at the end of the webinar. Perfect. There's my video. Awesome. Great. Okay, so let me go ahead and share our portal. So this is the regular Matrix portal that you all should be familiar with. And if you're not familiar with it, there is a free trial that you can definitely sign up for so you can experience some of these updates for yourself. We're going to be starting with updates associated with, excuse me, the dashboard. So when you log into Matrix, that is exactly what you'll land on, the dashboard. So that's what this page is called. The first update that we're going to go over is a very small but very substantial update, and that is with the LMS IDs. So the LMS ID is a unique identifier used on the Matrix system, and it's a unique identifier for courses, groups, and for users of the platform. So people will typically use the LMS ID for processes such as bulk imports or bulk updates or certain integrations like SIS integrations. And before, what we had to do was go to the user or the course or the group that we wanted to target. So for example, I'm going to head over to my profile page really quickly. And what used to happen is the LMS ID would be here in the URL at the end. In some places it is still there, but now we've moved it over to the right panel of these areas. So the LMS ID for my profile is here. If we go to a course, we'll see it reflected in a very similar area. So it will be over in the admin information down here in the LMS ID. And then for the groups, it is in the exact same area on the dashboard of the group in the admin area for the LMS ID. And as you can see, it's also reflected still up here in the URL, but now it's just a little bit easier and more noticeable. And we don't have to mess around with highlighting and unhighlighting and making sure that we have just the number. So that's the first update, again, small but very substantial. The next update that we're going to talk about, or the next kind of cluster of updates that we're going to talk about, are with organizations. So if you don't know, organizations is a feature that we have on Matrix where you can kind of subdivide different departments or different clientele who utilize your content on Matrix into different areas of the site. So going to organizations and then heading over to list, you'll see that here on our site for NA EdTech, we do have a couple of organizations established underneath us, and they're all indented in one way or another. So this will represent the default organization or the main organization. The first update that we made to the organizations feature is explicit placement. So what used to happen is when we create a organization, a new organization, it would add to the bottom of the list, and then we would have to use these buttons, the up, the down, the left, and the right, to position that the way that we wanted it to be positioned. Now, what we can do is when we add a new organization, we have all of the same configurements. So I'll do 1.2. We can add a description if we want, or go ahead and leave that blank. But we have this position drop-down menu. This is the new thing. So we can actually tell the system where we want to position this new organization. So I'm just going to put a 2 after that. So we can have it at the start, which will mean at the top of the organizations list, at the end of the organizations list, after an already existing organization, before an already existing organization, or as the first or last child of an already existing organization. So I do want this to be under organization 1 over here and under 1.1. So I'll go ahead and put this as the last child of, and then it will let you either type or choose the organization that you're trying to target. So I'm targeting organization 1. I'll go ahead and click that. We will save. And then coming back to the list, because this is the profile page for organization 1.2, coming back to the list, we'll see that the system will automatically put that organization where we've asked for it to put it, which is really, really great when we're adding new organizations, and this organization list starts to get really long. Now we have an easier way to position these organizations without having to mess with these arrows up here. However, one caveat to this, and the reason why these arrows are still here present on this list, is because for now, this explicit organization or the explicit placement of organizations only works when you are adding a new organization. So if you have an existing organization, such as this one down here, and I wanted to replace it somewhere else, like at the top of the list, I would still have to click this box and use these arrows to kind of maneuver it to where I want it to go. But that's just for now. We definitely do have it in mind to update that at one point or another. But definitely revel in the fact that placing new organizations is going to be a lot easier. So the next update that we have regarding organizations is going to be in the actual organization information itself. So I'm going to click here into Candy Lab. This is the profile, the organization profile for Candy Lab. And over in the organization menu, we have this option called courses. Now, when we click courses, what used to be the case is that we would have something that still looked very similar to this, a list of the courses that are associated with this organization, Candy Lab. It's a very, very handy sneak peek into the courses that are going on, whether they're active or inactive within the organization. But what has changed here is actually the way we're able to interact with the courses that are in another organization. So previously, we only had the ability to delete courses from this view, but now we can also archive, unlock, lock, unpublish, or publish courses. And we can do that by either clicking all of the courses or by targeting one or a few of the courses and then handling them from here, which is really, really handy, because the way that we had to do it before was you actually have to go into the actual organization itself and mess around with the classes from there, which is a lot of back and forth. But now we can do it from one area and then handle other organizations very close proximity to the ones that we're handling currently. So the last update for the organizations, it's actually for deleting organizations. So I'm going to come back to our organization list. And excuse me, in the past, when we wanted to delete an organization, what we would do is we would come to that organization, we would click the box, and then we would go to delete. However, if you had account types or courses or resources or anything inside of that organization, the system would not let you delete an organization without actually going into that organization and clearing everything out manually and having like this blank skeleton of an organization that you then could delete. It's a lot of work. So what we've done is, instead of having to go into the organization to clear everything out, we can check this box, click delete. It's going to ask us to confirm. And that's going to make this transfer protocol pop up on the screen. So the transfer protocol is giving us this outside option of moving the stuff that exists inside of the organization that we're trying to delete to another organization, so we can empty it out from here without having to go to faraway lands to deal with it. So we can do it all together. So move all items to already existing organization, or we can target the items by type. So if for some reason I wanted to move the users that are in the Candy Lab over to Ed Test, and I wanted to move the courses over to organization 1.1, I can now differentiate that. Again, I could just move them all to the same place if I wanted to do that, or I can move them to none. So choosing none is telling the system essentially that I don't need any of this. Let's hard delete everything. I don't want to worry about transferring anything over. I'm just going to get rid of it all. And then once this is configured the way that you want it to be configured, you'll go ahead and click try again, and then it will do the transfer protocols. It will transfer or delete the items in that organization and also delete the organization itself. So much, much easier. All right, so I'll cancel there. Heads back to our dashboard. And the next category that we're going to talk about are courses, assignments, and grading. So there have been a large number. Yes, please do ask questions if you do have them. There have been a large number of updates associated with the courses, assignments, and grading. The first one that we're going to look at is a simplified course creation and configuration. So when we needed to make a course in the past, and this process has not changed, but I'll show you what has changed. We would go to the courses button over in the main menu, and we would go to add. And whether we're making a course or a course template, the process is the same. We would click what we're trying to make, and we have the same options here. So we're adding in the name, we're selecting the style of the course, if it's self-paced, we can choose to put in the duration. If it's blended or instructor-led, we'll have to set that duration. And then we'll choose the organization that it needs to go to if we are using organizations. And what we used to have before this update is another tab up at the top that said optional. And when you clicked that, you would get access to the course number, the section for the course, the time zone for the course. Organization used to also be over there as well. Some of the extra course configurations that aren't necessarily considered basic would be over there. It was super easy to miss, and a lot of people would in fact miss it. So what we've done is, I'm just going to make a quick demo course. When you save these basic configurations to the course, automatically you're going to be taken to a configuration page for that course, instead of where in the past we had you land on the landing page of the course. It now takes you to the administration tab, where you can then further configure parts of the course. So on this page, it's just telling you that we're ready to get some extra configurations in there. It tells you where to start. So everything here is pretty much the same as it has been, except for this tab here, this features tab. So before I talk about the features tab, I actually want to go to the basics, because this is where the features used to be housed. So when we used to make courses, we would come to basics, and it had all of this information here. So this is all of the stuff that we configured previously, with a little bit of extra, like the short description and the long description and the picture of the course. But as you go further down, it was quite a long scroll to get to the features of the actual course, where you'd be able to pick the tabs that you wanted to use, the buttons that you wanted associated with the course menu. Now we've moved that all over to features. So it's a little bit kind of compartmentalizing those decisions. You don't have to do too much at once. But here on this features page, what you'll be able to do is control the tabs. So these start page tabs are going to reflect onto the landing page of the course. So right now we have the modules, news, and calendar activated. So when I come to the actual landing page, so this is the page that learners will come into straight away when they click on that course, we have the modules, news, and calendar activated. If we didn't want those activated, or if we wanted other start page tabs to be activated, we can easily come in here and disable and enable whatever we want to have for this course. So the left tabs are controlling what is going on in this course menu. So not the main menu, but the course menu. So let's say I'm teaching this course, but I don't need games. I don't need attendance. And I do want let's see what I want. I do want a seating chart for some reason. I don't know. This is where we can control what buttons are going to show up in this course menu over here. Perfect. And so the last thing to hit on before we leave this page is actually getting back to the start menu. There's two new ways to do that. So one of them you've seen me do already is by just clicking the start button. But the other thing you can do is click this landing page, and it's going to take you to the exact same area. Awesome. So the next place that I'm going to show you is, excuse me, back in admin. This scheduling feature, which is not new, is here. So if you wanted to create a schedule for your class, it happens every Monday from 12 to 2, you could do that. But without getting too much into that, where the real update here is happening is in the start actions and the finish actions. So the start actions and the finish actions are part of our automation on the site. And we do have a new automation feature that I think is super, super useful, especially for Matrix users. And it's this. So let's say our class finishes in 30 days. So we're going to say before, on, or after, whichever one we're trying to configure. We'll say after 30 days. Where's 30? After 30 days, we're setting the parameter here. We're going to tell the system to perform an action. After 30 days, I want the system to unpublish the course. So this is a new feature, the unpublished course automation. This is a huge, huge time saver. It's going to be for a lot of people because what we had previously was if you needed for a course to be unpublished, you actually had to go in and manually do that. And for our customers that have hundreds or maybe even thousands of courses, that gets a bit messy because you have to go into every course and manually unpublish it from that catalog. Because if something has finished, if we don't want a course to be visible to visitors in the catalog page or to anybody in the catalog page, obviously we don't want it there. So unpublishing is going to take it out of that catalog, so we don't have to fuss with anybody seeing or interacting with courses that shouldn't be visible. Perfect. Okay. So our next very interesting, very cool, very helpful update for courses is actually going to be inside of the module. So I'm going to switch over to another course just because this one is a little bit more filled out. But here we see the modules for the course Graphic Design Fundamentals, and we're going to dive into the modules so that we can actually see what these next few upgrades are going to be. So this view, again, is from the admin or instructor view. So this isn't how it's going to look for students, but this is just from the admin and instructor view. And usually what we tend to see with Matrix is that the admin or the instructor or both are going to be the course developers for the content that is put into each of the courses on their portal for their organization. And so this next update comes from the need to be able to very quickly see what resources are in each module at a glance. What used to happen is that we would have to create a welcome page. So going to section, we'd have to make a page. We would name that page. And then inside the page, any resources that were associated with this module, we would have to actually upload them from the HTML editor. So if we wanted an image, we would upload the image here. If we wanted to add a video or a document, PDF, Word, PowerPoint, we would do that from here as well. So upload files from the HTML editor. The issue with that, however, is that when we come out to look at the sections in the module, anything that's associated inside of this page, we can't actually see at first glance. We'd have to go in and look at that page to see what resources are there, which becomes a problem because we kind of, as course developers, we need to know what's there, and we always need to be able to get that information quickly. So what we've done is when you add a section, we have a few new section types. So we have a file resource and a web resource. So this is replacing having to go make that page and then click on that little document button in the HTML editor. This file is going to allow you to upload a document or a video from your computer locally from the resources library, or if you have Google Drive integrated, you can do it from there as well. We also have the web resource. So this web resource is a URL. It can be a YouTube video, it could be a blog page, it could be Wikipedia, it could be anything that is on the web that has a URL that you can copy and paste into here. And the beauty with these two resources, the web resource and the file, is that anything that you put here is going to embed into the platform. So if I have a web resource that's a YouTube video and I put the URL here, it's not going to show up as a link to an external site to YouTube where the learners are going to watch the video from there. It's actually going to embed the video into Matrix or the web page or the document into Matrix. So we can avoid having our learners go out to external sites all over the web when they're really just supposed to be focusing on this one localized point, which is Matrix. So it's really, really useful to have these separated. And again, we'll also be able to see them easily in a list. So we would have a file here. Let me just add one here just for reference. So I don't know what this YouTube video is, but when we have it, we can easily see that we have a web resource here or a file here, so we know what's there and when. Does web resource embed? Yes, it does. Thank you, Keck. That's a great question. Perfect. All right, so the next update that we've made to the content, to the sections, is this HTML package. So the HTML package is kind of, you can think of it as a sister resource to the SCORM package. SCORM packages and HTML packages will come from e-learning content authoring software, something like Adobe Captivate or Articulate 360 products. You'll usually get a SCORM 1.2 version file from there, but you also have the option to get an HTML package from there. And the difference between a SCORM and an HTML package, and the reason why you'll see SCORM here in the assessments and not the HTML option is because HTML is a resource that we would use if we don't want to record any scores from the content that we're putting in here. So we do also have that option for SCORM if you would rather upload a SCORM 1.2 package than do an HTML package. I think HTML packages tend to be a little bit smaller and a little bit easier to handle. You can do that. But the main point is that neither one of these will record a score. If you wanted to record a score using content authoring software, then you would have to come to assessments and upload it as a SCORM 1.2 file. But over here in the HTML package, this is obviously a really nice alternative if you don't want to use SCORM packages and you just want to deal with HTML. One of the caveats for now, but we definitely do, we are aware of this and we have this on our list, is that with this new update to including the HTML package, it actually does not, for the moment, include versioning. So with a SCORM 1.2 file, if you have the same SCORM package in multiple modules or multiple courses across different organizations, you do have access to functionality with the SCORM to where you could easily go to a specific spot on Matrix and replace that SCORM package manually and massively. So you're not having to do it one by one. With the HTML package right now, we don't support that. So anytime you need to iterate over an HTML package downloaded file, you would have to replace that manually everywhere it exists. So that's definitely one of the differences that you'll have to think about if you're thinking between SCORM or HTML package. If you're not iterating over the package, if you're not constantly updating it, HTML could be a good choice, but if you are, probably SCORM for now would be the option to go with. Perfect. Oh, also, okay, so I will address this one. Jeff Black, is there a help video on how to use SCORM packages and HTML packages in sections? So we do definitely have the help desk here, so you can easily search SCORM or HTML package and it will give you a lot of information. It is written visual information, but what you can also do is contact your ACE provider and they can definitely help to get you some resources or contact with an ed tech specialist who can help you out with that. That's a great question. Okay, so before we move away from the content sections, I do want to hit on this very massive update. So it has been an update for a little while. I think I'm a little late on sharing this, but the one that everybody's excited for, the larger file upload limits. So the upload limit used to be 1 GB per admin or per file, sorry, for admin and instructor accounts. So now it's 2, and everybody's very, very excited about that because we have a lot more space to upload a lot bigger files. One thing that I do want to mention for this update that I have noticed people getting a little bit confused about is that this 2 GB file upload limit does not count towards, I guess, the mass of the files that you can have on Matrix. When we're in a course, we can have as many resources, as many videos, as many files as we need on our platform in general, because we are cloud-based. You don't have a limit on how much you can upload into your platform. The limit is strictly for the document size or the video size. So if you have a document that you're trying to upload and it's 2 GB or under, we're good to go. But if it's higher than 2 GB, that's where the upload's going to be unsuccessful. That's very exciting. I've heard audible cheers from people who have heard this news. Okay, so the next place that we're going to go to is over to the assessments. So there has been one update with the assessments that has been with the surveys. So the survey is a type of assessment that we have to kind of collect information from the users who are in your course. We have one survey here, the course intake survey. What we have added to the survey are different question types. So we've added a scale question type and a matrix question type. So the scale is going to use either numbers or stars, and we'll set this up in just a moment just so we can see visually. And it's going to have an upper and a lower value that learners can choose from. And the matrix is going to have an X and a Y axis with rows and columns for users to be able to choose from. So for the scale, when you're making this type of question, you'll put the question, how excited are you today? And then we'll choose the scale. So are we having this out of 2 stars? Are we having this out of 10 stars? And right now 10 is the limit. Usually I see people pick 5. We can do it from a scale. So it will do the 1 to 5, or we can do it from stars. So it will have 5 stars that they can choose from. When you do a scale, you'll have to choose a higher value or a lower value, just so the learner will know what N stands for what extreme. So here we'll put, yeah, couldn't care less. And then here we'll put extremely excited. We can choose whether or not we want this to be required. When we're done, we can choose one of these save options. So save and return to question bank, save and add another scale question, or save and add another. So we're going to do save and add another, and we're going to bring in a matrix type. So with this matrix type, we can also type a question. Do you have these items? We can choose from a radio box, which is exactly what this looks like, or a check box, which will have a little check mark in it. We can then choose the number of rows. So these would represent the items, and then a number of columns, which would represent the x-axis. So it would represent the options. So here we'll put two, Adobe Photoshop and an Illustrator. And then for the columns, we'll have two as well. So we can say I have access to this, or I don't have access to this. We'll go ahead and require it. And then this time we'll save and return to question bank. So I want to be able to show you what these look like because I think they're really cool. So let me just make sure that this is given. And it's not required. And then I will go to view as learner. Oops, and I need to come out here. And we'll see what these look like really quickly. I think they're so cool, and definitely for Matrix users, these types of questions really do make all the difference. Okay, so we're in as a learner, we're viewing as a learner. We'll go into the intro, we'll look at the course intake survey. Go ahead and click take. And so this is what the scale looks like. We had it from 1 to 5. So 1 is couldn't care less. 5 is extremely excited. Of course, we're extremely excited today. We'll go ahead and click continue. And then this is what the matrix question will look like. So we have those items here on the y-axis, and then on the x-axis we have the options. So I do or I don't have access to this. And again, this is a great way of collecting information, especially this question of collecting information in mass, because you can put a lot of options here and collect that data all at once. So this is a good example, again, of a assignment. So a survey assignment that we've added to these two different types of questions. But the next update actually comes with grading. So I'm actually going to go outside of this course, and I'm going to go into testing purposes because, oops, sorry, I have to view as teacher. Oh, I messed it up. Okay. I forgot I was logged in as a learner. Now I have to re-log in. Perfect. Okay, so we're back at our dashboard. I want to go over to our testing purposes course just because in this course there are 8 assessments to score. So anytime a learner has taken an assessment, if you have this to-do list, which I always recommend is a great idea to enable on Matrix, it will show you as the instructor or as the admin that there are 8 assessments in here that need to be scored. You could go ahead and click this link, or you can click this assessments button. The assessments button is just going to give us a long list of all of the assessments that are within the course. And what we're looking for in this instance are the pencils. So the pencils are telling us that there are things in here that need to be scored. And so coming here to the score, we'll be able to see first this additional information for the grader. So we'll see this in just a moment when I do grade this, but before we didn't actually have this column. So somebody could essentially, any TA or any teacher or even an admin who is associated with the course could come in and grade any of the assignments, and we wouldn't really know who did it. But now we have this column which will show you who graded the assignment and when it was graded, which is really great information to have. So we'll come into Chandler Bing. We'll go ahead and score his assessment. And the update that is here is that when you have courses that have a long list of learners, maybe we have a course with 200 learners, excuse me, or 300 learners, what you had to do before was either use these arrows to grade the next person, use the drop-down menu to kind of scroll all the way through the people. But if you're targeting someone specifically and you want to look at their submission for some reason, what you could also do is now you can type the name of the person. So first name or last name, and it will go through that list of users, submissions, and it will find that user specifically. So now less scrolling, which is more time and which is better outcomes for us. So we have this grade saved for Chandler Bing. I'm going to go back to that assessments area, and we will be able to see that I was the person who graded it, and it also has the date of the grade. So now, especially because on Matrix that we do see a lot of use cases where there are multiple TAs or multiple teachers in a course, now we know exactly who graded it and when it was graded. Perfect. Okay, so moving to a different course type. It's still a course in a way, but it's a different course type. Talking about paths. So with paths, templates specifically, well, no, not paths, sorry. I'm going to talk about templates first, and then we'll get to paths. Templates, if we go to our main menu, courses, and then we go to list, here we have the option for templates. So a template, if you don't already know, is one of the best practices that we do recommend on Matrix for any Matrix user. A template is a master copy of a course. So we're setting up the master copy, and then we're creating child copies of that master copy to disperse to different organizations or to use for different semesters throughout the year, whatever your organization is following. In this candy bar workshop, for example, this is a course template. So it's not a teachable course. It's just that master copy, what everything in this course should look like, what all of the children, excuse me, should look like. And here it shows that we have two sections. So this is the template, and these are the two child courses that we have. What used to be the case is that when we would sync a template to the child courses, let's say we added a module, or we changed the name of this module, or we added some assessments, or we took away some assessments. When we would sync, we didn't used to have this column here. So this last sync at never existed before this recent update. And what that meant was it was very, very difficult to realize or to remember when we last synced something. So we could, a lot of clients have a sync schedule where they'll have to externally keep track of the dates that they need to sync certain things. And this just makes it a lot easier to keep that in mind and to remember when or if you have synced something in the recent past. So we can see the date as well as the time that something was synced. And then if it doesn't line up with what we need it to be, then we can refresh that sync. Another update to the sync is that we used to have some problems with syncing massively. So again, we do have a number of clients who have hundreds or maybe even thousands of child courses that they need to sync to the template course after having made iterations or changes to the template course. So the way that we had the database set up before was not really helpful in getting us to sync that massive number of child courses in a clean and fast way. So the update that we have made recently is just a change to the structure of that database so that those of you who do have a large number of child courses that you need to sync across your site will not have as many problems as you have had in the past. So again, very helpful, very time-saving. Okay, and so now we're going to talk about paths. So I'm going to get out of this course template, and I'm going to go over to that path. So this is the icon for path. And when I click into this path, what used to happen is that when we had a path, whether it was a path template or a regular path, when we would copy that path, there was a deep copy that was generated for a regular path, not a path template. But the deep copy is Inside of a path, we have these modules, and sometimes a module will stand for just a specific linear structure of items that a learner needs to get through. And sometimes the path will incorporate goals inside of the module. So these goals, are representative of courses. So actual courses inside of a path instead of just a linear structure of items as we see here, because the path is our version of a program, right? So in a regular program, a training program, you might have an actual course that needs to be completed for that program, but you might also have just a list of resources that need to be completed that aren't necessarily connected with the course. So here, what we have is that when we want to create a copy of a path or a path template, we'll choose the copy type that we're trying to achieve. So whether this copy is just going to be a path or a course by itself or a course template, what's going to happen is that you'll be prompted to first change the information according to the new copy that you're creating. And then towards the bottom, you'll be able to check whether or not you want this to be a deep copy. And checking that this is going to be a deep copy is simply communicating to the system that any course that is inside of that path program needs to be copied as well. So that copy needs to be carried down into the new one instead of just having, I think it was just a bare bones module. So now we're actually creating copies within copies, which sounds weird, but is very useful, especially for those of you who do use paths exclusively, and you're using those paths in different organizations. So now you can create copies without having to do any extra steps and then push them to different organizations as needed. So very cool, very helpful, very handy. So our next set of updates is going to be associated with groups. So I'm going to just go to our dashboard really quickly. And so groups has been increasing in popularity in Matrix. We definitely do see a lot more people utilizing them for a lot of different reasons. And there are a lot of new things that are happening with groups that I think might work to convert people over to using them a little bit more. So groups are located here. If you don't have it located here, you will need to do some configuration to get that set up onto your main menu. If you need help with that, again, please do reach out to your ACE representative and we will get you the help that you need. Coming into groups, we can see I already have a group here. The first update to groups actually mirrors what we talked about earlier with the update to courses. So when we add a group, just like when we add a course, that configuration is going to be simplified. So if we're choosing a collaboration group, we're just going to be picking the name, the interest, or the type, sorry, and the scope of the group. So there's no optional tab that we can, pick other configurations for. It's just a very simple name, type, and scope. Once we're finished with that, Team Candy. Perfect. So once we're finished with that, when we save it, it's going to come to the configuration page, just like it does when we create a course. So we have all of these options for further configuration of the group because we took it from the first configuration step and moved it over just so it was a little bit easier for us. So here again, we also have that features tab reflected in the groups as well as the courses. So that's easy to use because they mirror each other. So it's not going to be a different process for creating a group as it is for creating a course, which is always great. We also have the start tab that's reflected and the landing page. So again, consistency is key. And it's very, very handy to have when learning to use the platform for the first time. Another thing that we have new is within the features, the dashboard option. So we did not used to have dashboard options for groups, but now we do. So if you wanted to have the dashboard enabled for the group and you also wanted to have the landing page be the dashboard. So that means when a learner or whoever is in the group comes to the group, they will land on the actual dashboard page for the group. So it can be a little bit confusing when you're first getting used to it, because this looks just like the dashboard for the main page when you log in. It's supposed to look similar just for that consistency and ease of use in learning it. But this is the dashboard for the group. So all of the analytics here will be connected to the group specifically, and it's not going to include any of the external information across other parts of the site, which is great. We also have group assistance. So this is new. If we come over to admin and we come to features, we have the option to incorporate assistants. So an assistant is a new type of membership for groups. And it's very similar to the admins, but the only difference is that admins are going to be able to control who enters the group and who leaves the group, so they can add and remove people from the groups. Assistants will be able to post and announce to the news feed that's in the group if it's enabled. They'll also be able to add and remove resources from the group, and they'll also be able to moderate any forums that are in the group. So again, similar to admins, but not as much power as admins. They can't delete the group or configure the group in any way, but they can help handle the day-to-day group activities. Okay, so similarly, I'm going to go over to this other group. This is a group that we have members in. So there are 14 members in this group. Excuse me. This next update is a very simple one, but also very useful. When a user messages other users, so if we come to members, we can easily click on any of these members and then select to message one or all of them. When a user messages from a group in bulk, so they message everybody at once inside of that group, it will come over to the messages, and we see Alice has messaged us about the group potluck for this group. It will come to everybody, but the update is that we now have the option to reply all. Previously, we only had the option to reply or forward or delete, which meant that when we replied, it would only go to Alice instead of everybody else in the group. So now we have reply all, and this works outside of groups also. So if we have a course message or just a regular message from administrators or between teachers, it will work the same to reply to everybody who's on the thread. Perfect. And we are perfect on time. We're winding down with the updates for this quarter. The last ones that I do want to touch on have to do with the App Center, and they're really, really exciting, especially for Matrix users. So at our dashboard, to go to the App Center, I know a lot of you have probably noticed this already. In our App Center, we do have a new layout for the App Center. So everything has been organized into categories instead of just having these blocks kind of laid out a little bit randomly. And we also have this search bar over here. So if we wanted to search for something specific, instead of having to scroll and look, we could do that. And if we wanted to choose for specific categories of things, we can also do that as well. A couple of the new apps that have been added are with the third-party content. So we do have Coursera is new. So if you are utilizing Coursera, or if you're interested in utilizing Coursera in your Matrix, in your organization with Matrix, we now have the ability to connect with Coursera. So as a content library, so we'll connect an established Coursera account with your established Matrix account. So you'll be able to see and browse, as well as enroll into and I think that's it, as well as enroll into the Coursera classes directly from inside Matrix. So you won't have to have another tab with Coursera open. You can just do everything from inside Matrix. If you need more information about this, definitely click this little cog icon, because it will give you some more information about what the configurations, what the information you need from that Coursera account that's existing. Excuse me. And then the last one would be in the third-party integrations. So I do see some questions in the chat, and this will be the last one. So I'll be able to get to those with some time left over. So with the third-party integrations, I think I confused it. Yes, here we go. With the third-party integrations, this one is really exciting because we've had a lot of people ask for it. The Credly integration. So Credly is an external site where you can take courses and earn badges. And with the Credly integration, what we're able to do is issue Credly badges directly from Matrix using automation. So using the automation feature in Matrix to trigger the issuing of badges inside of Credly. So it's a connection between Matrix and Credly, so the existing Credly account. And we can also show Credly badges issued from Matrix onto Credly and on Matrix as well. And we can also record the history of badges that have been issued onto Matrix. So we have that connection of information between the two systems, so we don't have to go to one over the other in order to see what's going on with badges in reference to our learners. So that one's really, really excited. And if you are interested in this, this is a really, really significant update. So I would definitely recommend going to the help desk. When you go to the help desk for Credly, this isn't the right page. Credly. I think I spelled it wrong. But when you go to the help desk for the Credly page, you'll be able to see how to set that integration up, and you'll be able to see everything that you need to do between those two systems in order to get it up and running. So it's very, very helpful. And if you need any extra help, again, please do contact either your salesperson, your ed tech, or your ACE representative, and we'll be able to guide you in the direction that you need to go in order to get set up. Perfect. So I'm going to go out to our dashboard. We're done for the day with these updates. We will be having more following this one. I'm looking over at my questions. I got the one from Jeff. How would that work if a person is utilizing a third-party content provider? Yes. So I don't know if this was answered. No, it doesn't look like it. So with a third-party content provider, the admin or somebody in an admin position would have to have an existing account in that third-party application, because they would need information to connect over to Matrix. So it's not like we can create an account from Matrix. You have to have something already existing, and then we can use information keys and secrets from that account, integrate them with Matrix so that there's a connection that's made. Does Matrix plan on making the Udemy a two-way app? Courses on Matrix appear on Udemy. That's an interesting question. I would have to think and probably ask engineering, because in my brain, the way that that would have to happen is with permission from Udemy. I don't know if that's the correct answer, but I think in order to put our courses onto Udemy, we'd have to have permission from them to do so. That's just a guess, an educated guess. But Jeff, we will definitely, John and I will get back to you, and we'll research that a little bit and see what we can find. Oh, we can't see the questions you're answering. Yeah, sure, Jeff. Let me share. I can't share the questions. So the questions are in the Q&A. I think if you click the Q&A button in Zoom, you'll be able to see the questions that are there. Chat button, no problem. Perfect. Everyone can see the Q&A. So we do have some questions that were already answered. Catherine says no. Okay, Catherine, I will put this one in the chat for you then. It's the only question it looks like we have that isn't answered. But if anybody does have any questions left over, please do use the chat, use the Q&A, and I'm here for the next few minutes. I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, thank you, Catherine, for joining us. Thank you all for joining us. This is very, very fun. Again, this is the second product update. We will be having one, I think in October. Don't quote me on that, but we will be marketing it on our social media, as well as talking to clients of ours specifically to send you the registration link for that as well. Yeah, thank you, Helen. Do the courses get uploaded to LinkedIn Learning from Matrix? Do the courses get uploaded to LinkedIn Learning from Matrix? So from Matrix to LinkedIn Learning? No. With LinkedIn Learning, you're making that connection between the two websites. And so you'll be able to see the library of courses that you have established on LinkedIn Learning in that third-party integration on Matrix as a catalog, but you're not going to be able to do over the other way around. And I think that's also the same issue when it comes to getting permission from LinkedIn to show the courses on their end. I think it's the same thing. Yeah, as if they did not. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.